Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Arnett is absent. Alderman Chun.
Here.
Alderman Danko is absent. Alderwoman Erickson.
Here.
Alderwoman Inman.
Present.
Alderman Ketchum.
Here.
Alderman Kreinbrink.
Present.
And Alderman Robinson.
Are all those out?
Yes.
Okay, audience comments? Thank you, Tony.
My biggest question to you,
Mr. Otto, go ahead.
yep, okay. Can you read out the contract that was sent out? So that way we can kind of see it on this one. I mean, I have 5 minutes. I know it's my time, but would anybody be willing to share what's in the contract with me?
Well, it's public comment, so you can just comment that you'd like to know what's in it. I don't know that we'll be reading it verbatim.
Right, but I can per public comment on the fourth section there that I can ask anybody to do it. They can elect and choose not to respond to me or anything else. So I was just wondering.
Well, the council has the packet. They're the ones that'll be voting on it.
Right. So I guess my question is if there is anything in the packet itself, this is what I'm pretty sure the foundation would agree to, would be, if we needed to, would be a 30-day notification of cancellation with a cause of, like, there has to be cause for termination. You know, whenever it's a public procurement portion of it, we need to know what it is, because the funds themselves, if you decide to go get a $10,000 tent, we don't know it, and our income's only $4,000, we're just gonna eat $1,000. We need to be able to work together a little bit on this situation. Whenever it comes to liability insurance, I mean, there's without question, you can't run an event without a liability insurance. But, you know, setting the precedence of what it is, if you guys want $1 million, then that's fine, that's what it is. And then the final portion of it, whenever it comes to it, is, you know, damage to public property. Whenever you have the procurement of the tent itself and we're responsible for the actual venue, if one of your guys, you decide to get the procurement, they come in and they damage the concrete or anything else like that, and you say the liability's on the foundation, that's questionable at best. So whenever it comes to it, these are certain things that I would like to look at. I don't think that this contract would be anything more than one page. I mean, honestly, it's pretty straightforward. That would be something that we would be agreeing to, because one of the biggest things that we need to get straight for this is whenever it comes to it, it is your event as well. We are cost sharing with the city. We are paying you to be able to utilize the tent. If not, you're paying the full value of the tent itself. We are willing to pay $2,000, basically, or something along those lines of the cost sharing of the tent, and also the porta potties, and also the dumpsters. We are sharing it with you. We are not costing you it. It is already costing you it with the Taste of Sandwich. So I just wanted to be clear. I know the last time it was questioning on that one, and that we've also taken the necessary steps that were brought up on the document that was sent out to us, that I am listed as a person that can sign the contract agreement. We also took the other necessary steps of different things because of the maybe conflict of interest or possibility of a conflict of interest. I know we pretty much worked towards, you know, not voting on it, not talking about the foundation itself, and then also everybody already knows that she sits as the president and board of this nonprofit. So there's your disclosure statement as well of who's on the board. I'm on the board, a couple other people as well. So I don't know if there's any other clarity that you guys need or other things. I'm more than willing. Anybody can ask me a question right here and now, because you all are the ones that make the rules, right? You guys are the ones that actually set whether or not we have to follow this or not. It's no one else up here. It's already been said. He's basically the president. You're the legislative body. You're the ones that actually make the ordinance pass or fail. So I just wanted it to be clear of our intentions and what we'd be willing to sign, which I think would be more than fair. 30 days is without question, that is still a good notification time with cause, not just any random Tuesday you decide that you rolled out of the left side of the bed instead of the right and you want to shut it down. Anybody else? Any questions while during my time? I'm perfectly fine with answering them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else for public comment? All right, the consent agenda is item 4, a motion to adopt the consent agenda as a whole. All matters listed are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted as one motion. If it is desired that an item can be removed from the consent agenda, it can be considered separately. They are as follows. Item A, approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole from August 4, 2025. Item B, approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of August 4, 2025. Item C, approval of the July financial reports. Is there any desire to move any of those items off the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, heard Alderman Chun. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderwoman Inman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Mayor's report, I have no report for this evening. We'll move on to the attorney's report.
I don't think I have anything specifically not already on the agenda.
Okay, Clerk Yee,
Nothing this evening.
Treasurer Kohler.
I do have a couple of things.
Okay.
I want to ask, not necessarily to do with the financial reports that were turned in, but I'm listening to you guys talk about the things you're going to vote on tonight and what it's going to cost the city of Sandwich. That is where I'm supposed to be paying attention. If we don't agree to the Main Street, change the lines and keep moving forward at the rate of speed we're moving forward on the Main Street project, what is a delay going to cost the city of Sandwich? Is it gonna cost us more because they can't move forward or they lose a job or our contract if we don't stick with it? That's other things to take into consideration if the contractor cannot continue with his job, because we have to create something to send out to get them to sign an agreement to not, or whatever, a waiver. That's more time, more money, more attorney fees to draw up the agreement, time to mail it out to everybody, and then cost a delay on the project, which is, from what I'm understanding, moving faster than what it was anticipated to at least have the road surface covered before winter. That is a main priority in this town right now, because this is terrible out here. Just my input for looking at cost factors. I'm not saying which way anybody should go, but I think it needs to all be looked at, not just whether we're paying for the resident or not. I know that we have been rated as an R3, and I don't know if anybody knows what R3 is, but R3 will also give cities a grant to fix these water lines in communities that don't have enough money to support themselves. And we've already been declared that, especially where there's a high lead content area, according to the map that I looked at today. Might want to look into that for that as far as your second look at things. And then I've looked into Naperville. There's no cost. The city's paying for everything. Not Plano,
Plainfield.
Plainfield has got a split cost. There's another one where, and I can't remember the name of the town, I'm so sorry, where the residents have to pay $2,000 and the city covers more because the contractor is making a better deal. I have not heard if we have actually changed a lead line pipe to a house yet in the Main Street project,
I don't believe so, not on the Main
and what
Street.
the actual cost of that was, because we're getting these various prices anywhere from $4,500 to $10,000. It would be nice to know if we're doing bulk, that they're gonna give us a bulk deal because we're buying stuff in bulk. And if we're gonna replace 30 instead of 6, it should cost us less because you get a better deal when you get more. You know, I mean, that's other things to look into before anybody outright says no about going ahead with the Main Street project, because we really need to finish this project. Irregardless, people got kids that go to school. They don't want to pay taxes on the schools because they don't have kids that go to school, but they still got to pay the cost of the school tax. This is just another tax that we had no control over. This wasn't like we wanted to go put flowers on every corner or plant trees. This was a cost that was mandated by the government with no help. So we have to look at that and what it's gonna do to a lot of seniors we have in this town. And I know I can't afford a $10,000 lead pipe change.
Jeff, Treasurer Kohler's question was, have we changed any lead lines on Main Street to date?
I know we had 3 that we needed to do on Arnold. I know we did the city side for sure. I think we may have, I'll have to check. I don't know if we actually did the residential side or not.
Okay,
There
could
were
you find
3
out?
that were tied together.
If we did, it'd just be nice to know what the actual cost of that is.
And the problem that we have run into is that every one of them is different as to where it goes into the house.
Oh,
and
granted, but
things
we
like
can
that.
get within better than 45 to 10,000.
I don't disagree,
Yeah,
but
that's-
there's usually a long run, or a short run, but even with all of these, my understanding is that they're variable, just depending on where they have to come in, how far it is. It's not one size fits all usually.
No,
It's
but
more of a
most-
custom thing.
Most of the houses on Main Street are approximately the same amount of feet back. So if we can get an approximate, so we can explain ourselves a little bit better, and instead of saying it's gonna cost $300,000 to do the 30 houses, oh, it's gonna cost 150. Maybe we can come better into an understanding and grants. It's just my ideas of
No,
looking
that-
into another idea.
Yeah, could you at least, Jeff, see what we've done for any lines that may?
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Sandra?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
City Administrator Report, Jeff Penman.
Good evening. We are starting over with the Assistant Water Superintendent position. We had a candidate and he ended up taking another job at a significantly higher rate. Going to be re-advertising that. Obviously, we've talked a lot about lead service lines tonight. Let's see, there, a couple of you have said you wanted to go to IML. I'm just looking for the days that you're going, and I think I have that from you two, and you're gonna let me know. Let's see.
We're trying to get a final cost for budget, so.
And then the implementation with G-Works is moving along. Michelle is really spearheading that and doing a good job with it. It's still taking some time, but it is moving forward at this point in time, so that's a good thing. One question I had for the council tonight is that, and it's not a great night to have this discussion, but just with all the other expenses that we're running into, but we've had some discussion about frozen positions within the city, and we're finding that, especially in our building department, with our, the possibility of hiring a deputy clerk and doing some things like that, that we really could use to be able to improve the customer service that we're able to provide. If those positions are frozen, what is the process to unfreeze them? What do we need to bring back, and how do we need to move forward with that? We're finding that our part-time code enforcement officer is doing some things that are additional, trying to, doing some of the code enforcement stuff for streets, or when Denise has things from time to time, he's going out and doing those in addition to just the property maintenance. So we're seeing some expanded roles with some of these things, and, where do we want to go with this? So I guess I'm just asking, what is our process to unfreeze those positions?
Well, I'm confused because I was told a month or however long ago that we didn't have a frozen position because I misunderstood and didn't understand what the thing was when we did the budget.
I think he's referring to a specific one stated in the budget, specific positions.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about too, because one was the interim position and the other was for the assistant superintendent that I still thought was supposed to be a superintendent position. And I know we'll go round and round on that, but I mean, that's why I'm confused.
Okay,
So
well, whether it's
we
an
thought it was
assistant.
restricted, call it frozen. I thought it was restricted.
Okay, restricted,
But the attorney and the mayor told me that I was wrong, that's not, I mean, isn't that what I was told a month or so ago?
The way it was on the budget was not, I wasn't there. I'm just telling you what I read, and that's not how that works. There's specific ways to do that, and a restricted item means it can only be spent for that item. If you don't want money spent, you don't budget money.
Right, and I think what I had said is that that budget would not have passed by the previous council if they also understood it the way that you just explained it, because we wanted these line items frozen, restricted, whatever you want to call it, before we were spending money on it, so we'd get a grasp of what we're doing. Because here we're talking about, obviously, adding a couple of positions or adding something, and we still don't know how we're gonna pay. I mean, I know how I'd like to pay. We're gonna have to pay it regardless, but have the resident pay for the lead line. So I
So-
guess leading into that too, my other question would be, what were the three residents up on Arnold told?
They were told that the city was covering them.
Okay.
And in that case, I think there was 3 lines tied into one. It was something, it was old farmhouse, right? Is that the one? at the
Yes,
corner?
there was one right there in the corner, and then the lead line was tied to another. Basically, they found it when they were going down Main Street that it was actually, it had been attached to the Main Street main and never attached to the Arnold main. So it was one that was attached to another, which is probably common for how things were done many, many years ago, so.
I'm sure it was, and I would have liked to have known that prior to coming to the meeting tonight. I mean, I know it's a minute thing, but especially in the process of us discussing this and knowing what, trying to come up with a decision, because we still don't know what we're gonna do. Hopefully, we'll vote on something, but
So Jeff's question, I think, is in the budget book, there's a specific assistant building official position that is restricted. The current building official has asked for additional help. His recommendation was the code enforcement officer, but he is limited in the number of hours he works based upon his job description. So I think Jeff's question is so it came from staff. Staff has to think it gets some more help. There's a half position in there. I'm not sure that
It was a full-time position in the,
Full-time.
in the engineering section, and then we had a part-time position up in the office. And what we had said is that we had saved some money with Lauterbach and Amen, that we were using those dollars to try and offset the cost of the internship student or the master's student from Northern that we're working with.
So in this particular case, I don't think we're asking, the building official didn't ask for the restricted position to become unrestricted. Maybe. He's just asking for additional hours that would basically take the code enforcement person from part-time to full-time to help him out. And my recommendation was, before we do that, we'll just come back to council and ask them if you want to increase the FTE back there. And if so, would it be through the code enforcement, or would it be coming back to council to unrestrict a specific position in that department? It's one of the ones you have marked red, and you have an R next to it. Yes, Fred?
I think there's a lot of moving parts to this. Jeff, could you put a proposal together of what you're looking for, the associated expenses, how the job description is gonna change to fit that? If that's truly what your thoughts are, is taking the code enforcement and making it full-time? Because then that'll kind of spin off, because with just talking about restricting this or not restricting that or adding additional bodies, paint the picture of what needs to happen, what the associated expenses are, and then we can have dialogue of how we could potentially make that happen or keep it as it is. Okay. I mean, it doesn't need to be, 10 pages of anything. It's just that these 5 key aspects of this job are needed because of X, Y, and Z. And if they're not done, then this is the impact. If it's not put into play, this is the impact.
Makes perfect sense, Fred. There's a couple things within the new permitting system, I think, that they can come back with, that there are some changes that would better support the city of Sandwich and its residents, but someone needs to do those things. The current building official doesn't have time for those because of the demand on permitting from our current developments. So I think that can certainly be done, but they can come back with it.
I would also like to make a suggestion that if we were going to do that for the code enforcement, I'd rather us get somebody that, a new position that would actually have some formal training in code enforcement, inspection, that kind of thing, to help out the building official. We call him building official, but really he's our building inspector at this point in time with his background in training, I believe, correct?
Was the building official because he has certifications also allow him to intervene in zoning issues for the code? Does like 2 roles. Official and inspector, yes. One's the authority and one's his process.
Okay. So I guess what I'm saying is I would like someone that would have a little bit of the process background, inspection type.
Right.
So you'd have a boss, but then you'd have a,
Subordinate,
correct,
better term, yeah. Okay,
but somebody that's got some experience and background and maybe even education and doing that kind of a thing.
okay. Anything else, Jeff?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, department reports, Tony?
So I would like to publicly apologize to Tim Carter-Lieber, my assistant, who, along with the SEMA team, didn't ask to come up during the presentation with the reserves today. So there's a lot of work that Tim, along with the rest of the team, one great example was the weather tonight, monitoring that for everyone's safety, for the city and the team. So I really want to apologize to Tim and the rest of the team for not having them come up and join me in that presentation with the reserves. So just
That's
wanted to
my
state
fault.
that.
I apologize, because I think I called you forward, so.
I wasn't thinking either. That's my responsibility for the team.
I'm
as
sure we
well.
can remedy that with another photo. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Chief Senni?
Nothing further.
Nope. Okay. Don is left for the evening after his report. Council reports, Alderman Chun.
I have nothing further at this time.
Alderwoman Erickson.
Nothing, thank you.
Alderwoman Inman.
Nothing, thank you.
Alderman Ketchum.
Nothing, thank you.
Alderman Kreinbrink.
Nothing further, sir, thank you.
And Alderman Robinson.
Just to make mention again that, I know I brought this up previously, but I would like at some point in time to see our council reports move down behind old business and possibly even behind new business in the format of our committee of the whole and/or the regular council meeting.
We'll have to follow the code, because that's the order, but it doesn't mean we can't go back and revisit it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep, all right, old business. This is discussion of possible action on resolution 2511, amending section 2 of the city's personnel policy. You have all the information before you, it's been updated. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2511?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Alderwoman Inman, is there a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Alderman Kreinbrink, any discussion on the floor? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwoman Erickson,
Aye.
Alderwoman Inman,
Aye.
Alderman Ketchum,
Aye.
Alderman Kreinbrink,
Aye.
Alderman Robinson,
Aye.
Alderman Chun.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item B is discussion of possible authorization for the electrical vehicle charger location. Is there a motion to approve the location that was presented on Pearl Street? It is essentially, for those in the audience, in front of the antique store on
Make that
Pearl.
motion.
Okay, Alderwoman Inman, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Ketchum? Any discussion?
The only thing I have to say is that we still need to know about the lighting over there. I mean, there is no, it's very dim out there. You come out there at 10 o'clock at night from an opera thing, it's very dim out there. So I don't think we can even vote on this location right now until we find out from that. I really don't.
I'm sure we could upgrade it. There's gotta be something close so we could move over there with our lighting.
But then that'd be a cost to us, correct?
Some of the things we have replaced LED have been by comment without charge, and someone could just simply be asking them if they could replace it. Just like some of the other lighting we've had in town, I don't think they've charged us for some of that. Okay, other comments? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Kreinbrink,
Aye.
Alderman Robinson,
No.
Alderman Chun,
No.
Alderwoman Erickson,
No.
Alderwoman Inman,
Aye.
and Alderman Ketchum.
Aye.
3-3 tie, I will vote aye and break the tie. Item B passes. Item 13A, new business, discussion of possible approval of the monthly bills. Alderwoman Erickson, is that correct? In the amount of $521,324.14, as recommended by the Finance Committee. Is there a motion to approve the monthly bills as stated?
I'll make that motion.
Alderwoman Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Inman, any discussion or questions on the bills? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Ketchum,
Aye.
Alderman Kreinbrink,
Aye.
Alderman Robinson,
No.
Alderman Chun,
Aye.
Alderwoman Erickson,
Aye.
and Alderwoman Inman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, discussion and possible approval of the city energy agreement with the Betty Erickson Carey Foundation for Under the Big Top on September 25th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve item B?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Alderman Kreinbrink, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Ketchum, any discussion?
This is for the agreement?
Yes, so we can sign it and then they'll know that we have an agreement.
I would like to make a recommendation that we just go back to doing a verbal agreement rather than the written agreement. Because I think there's way too much information in there, which I'd stated to you last week. Not sure why it's 10 pages and another couple of pages of additional information, talking about other items and everything else. I understand at some point in time we need an agreement, but for this to be pieced together just from other possible agreements and everything else, this is the first agreement that we would have. And again, I think it's probably a little bit over the top because we're then gonna have to do a similar agreement for the one right afterwards. Because ultimately what this used to be was just a street closure. A street closure, and then it was a verbal or whatever as far as the cost of the tents and or porta potties. And it was probably just discussion. Again, I'm going back a few years, but used to be where the city wasn't paying towards any of that, or it was just a donation towards whether it was the sandwich area merchants or whatever the other organization was called. City's only taken it over the last few years as far as the Taste the Sandwich, and that was the purpose of having the tent. The longtime company that we had the tent from was always Berg, and it was always a situation where the tent would be set up on the Tuesday for the craft show on Wednesday. I think it was set up on Tuesday, maybe it was Wednesday, I don't recall. And then it wasn't taken down until the following Monday or Tuesday. So I believe that's how it started, them using the tent for craft show type stuff. And again, I don't know, I don't ever remember seeing written agreements or anything else. I'm sure a lot of it was just verbal, talking back and forth over the phone or a handshake or whatever. And I'm not sure if we need to have anything this formal. That's my thought.
Okay, other comments?
I agree with that.
Well, in order to simplify it, though, and we don't approve it tonight, or can we get it simplified tonight and approve it? Because then we're going to look at doing our next meeting, approving it the 1st of September. Is that going to cause a big delay or maybe not cause this to
Yeah,
happen?
it's gonna allow that not to happen. So
So,
this is what the mayor talked about tonight, about how we spin our wheels. We took 3 meetings to talk about it.
This is
Finally
still an
got it.
agreement.
We finally got it all figured out. Both sides have agreed to it.
No,
You haven't?
they haven't even seen it yet.
But you have.
I have.
You couldn't share it with them?
First off, my name's on it, shouldn't even be on it, and I told you this 3 times now, it shouldn't be on there. And you keep putting it on there.
I didn't put it on there.
Well, you wrote part of it on.
That's because you were the agent of record when we started
Man,
this.
we
My-
didn't
I
talk
wrote it.
About this.
I
so we
wrote
shouldn't
it.
have it on there.
My only question about this is because it's for the discussion and possible approval for the city to enter into an agreement. I want to get this done tonight. And I'm saying we could enter into an agreement.
Put a motion on the floor.
It's
Already
just
is, you already have a motion.
a verbal, but I'm assuming that they're talking about the written agreement. But I don't know if any of it has been changed since the original one that was sent to me.
So there was one comment made, and it wasn't until just now that I was advised that Mr. Otto was the contact. Krista, you are the registered agent for service of process, and so that's why that was in there. So now we have that. And then the only comment I received was that the 10 days was not, it was
Too short.
too
it was
short, and
lengthy.
so I changed that
It's 30.
to 30 days. So those were the only comments
That's on
that were
item 9, page 4 of 10.
provided to me for changes.
And again, so I'm not trying to, and I wouldn't say I'm trying to spin the wheels, because I basically said this 2 weeks ago. We haven't had any agreements with anybody else.
Well, in the prior meeting, not a word was said about it. We could have had all the dialogue in that meeting and could have figured out what could have potentially been changed in that meeting.
Which meeting are you talking about?
The one just before this one,
Tonight?
tonight. You could have, we could have,
Committee,
Excuse me?
committee of the whole.
no, no, it was brought up and there was no comments. Was there not?
Well, it was on for the vote, and like I said, it said discussion and possible action. Isn't that what we're doing right now, is discussing?
It was item F on the committee of the whole. I asked if
I
there was
guess
any
I
discussion
guess
on the
I'm done
agreement
with
with
this
the
one
foundation
myself, so.
with the craft fair on September
I
25th.
want this show to happen.
Correct.
I want it to I want it to be in there. We have had no agreements. We had no agreements with the Firemen's Association. We had a Jeep run over a lady, and that's what started a lot of this dialogue. So the city is in a position where they could be potentially in a lawsuit. This is gonna help take care of that. And if somebody were to drive through the tent or something like that, or somebody trip over an extension cord. But go ahead and say what you wanted to say, Rich, so
No,
we can vote on it.
I get what you're saying as far as that, and I think it is important, and I think it's a start for us to do something. My only comment to the mayor last week was, I thought that this could be something, we haven't had them before, it could be something very simple. I think my comment was.
Your
maybe-
comment last week was what, Friday? Right, isn't that when you told me that you thought it should be a more simplistic document?
Correct.
Friday, so not like.
It was
long
Thursday,
time last
it was
week.
Thursday that you reached out to me.
Thursday?
I'm sorry. You reached out to me on Thursday
We've had this
about
agreement,
something
Rich,
else.
for like, what, 3 meetings now? It's not like
And-
it's a new document.
Uh,
You
and
gotta
I-
read your stuff.
And
when
I
it
told
comes-
you at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, I said it wasn't in my packet, and you said it was a separate email. So I had to go back and find the separate email that wasn't. I don't know why it wasn't, since our packets are 80 to 140 pages each time anyway.
I don't know your
Why
packet.
it simply couldn't have been included if it was a big deal.
Because I think it was the timing when the document was corrected to the ask of the date and the time, and it was fixed. That's why it went out when it did.
Okay.
That's when we got it.
So I did see it, but when you're commenting that I'm not getting back to you on Friday, I got back to you though, okay? And my comment was, well, you shake your head like it's a,
Well, yeah, like, so we had a meeting on a Monday, and then nothing happens that whole week. Then we're into the second week, and then you're gonna get back to me like 5 days before we actually have a council meeting?
because you asked about, comment about
And that was
something
one
else.
comment. I didn't hear from anybody else.
But,
So
but
I
again,
got your comment. I understood that.
I typically say my
Conveyed
comments
that.
during a meeting. I don't have time
So-
to sit and email to say that I don't like something.
So the bottom line is we had someone get injured in the previous one. We've written an agreement that protects the city and its best interest. I've notified the fire department and the people who run that they'll have the same agreement when they come next year because of what happened, that we're tightening things up liability-wise. Dojo, right here, street closure, certificate of insurance. Never got those before. We do now. We may have got their insurance, but now we have them submit it so we can review their insurance type, amount.
We've always required the insurance as far as on the street closure.
And maybe you did things as a handshake, I'm sure the hell not. Things are just gonna get a little more difficult because
Okay.
that protects the city.
Well, you don't have to say it like that, but what I'm
That's how
saying,
you say things, to everybody else.
what I'm pointing out is the fact that we have
All
not
right,
had these
guys, that's
agreements.
enough.
Right? But I said this 2 weeks ago. There had not been agreements before. You said going forward there would be.
The
This is the
comment-
only agreement I've seen.
That's because it's the only event that we've had since then.
We've got another one coming up this weekend. It's next on the
Yeah,
agenda.
but we're not sharing anything. They're not using our property with us. We don't have a cost in that. They're just asked for a street closure like anybody else. We're just gonna close the street.
There wasn't any cost sharing with the fire department?
We were named on there because for like 3 years now, we've been a sponsor of their event.
Yeah, and the bathrooms are open to the building and stuff like that at that point
Yep.
too.
So we've had the document. The document hasn't changed, other than we extended the time frame from 10 to 30 days. I do agree with Fred. It's a little too late for this. Either this is it or it's not. We can see how it works out. We can come back and amend another one for next year if this isn't the way we think it would play out, or to another event. But it's time we start protecting the city a little bit better than we have.
And I'm not saying there's a problem with that, but I'm saying that the certificate for the street closure, that's what we're talking about, has nothing to do with the cost sharing.
But we're not cost sharing anything on this. The street closure. It's
No,
very different.
I get that. I'm talking about the agreement for the tents and everything with that. But the point is that the whole caveat for this or whatever is going to be what happened at the Blaze in the city. So that's why we want to tighten things up.
Absolutely.
Apparently, right?
Absolutely. Because I found out about it after the fact, after the event was over. And then I realized this is not how we should be doing business ever. And just because we didn't do that before, that's too bad. It's not what we're gonna do going forward.
And I agree, and I think I said that 2 weeks ago, but you said moving forward, it was gonna be for anything. I would have assumed it would have been for any street closure. But again, I don't wanna hold anybody up with anything.
We're also redoing the street closure form. We're redoing that to see if it meets our needs. Tony's working on that with the chief. They're already collaborating with Jeff as well. So it's just not being overlooked or neglected. It's actually it's just that this came to us in the time we didn't have a form and we're doing the new form.
Is there, I was gonna ask everybody then, is there anything else in the current agreement that needs to be struck or pulled out, and then you're okay with what it is? Or if it just, you wanna pass it just the way it is? Because we've got that option, right, to amend it
It can
currently,
be amended,
right now?
yes. I mean, yes, there is a first and a second on, the way I heard it at least, is approving this agreement, so.
Right, right, so that's,
So we want to make an amendment, have I go back to the person who made the first and the second, see if they agreed to it. Something could be amended in the document. We've already had one with a request for a change of name of the party that will sign the agreement.
and again, it's just, I don't wanna drag it out, but if everybody's seen the agreement, and if you're good with it, and it's fine. I can't be the only one that has these questions.
Okay, hearing nothing else, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Robinson,
Aye?
Alderman Chun,
Aye.
Alderwoman Erickson,
Abstain.
Alderwoman Inman,
Aye.
Alderman Ketchum,
Aye.
and Alderman Kreinbrink.
Aye.
That's a 4-4 tie, I'd have to vote, right?
No,
Or
everyone,
the abstention goes with it? The abstention carries with the ayes. There's an abstention.
oh, yeah, no, it's, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, passes. Item C is a discussion of possible approval for a street closure request by Dojo Dynamics. So, Mr. Scott Francis, every year has an event for his dojo. He's asked for a street closure. The initial request had been reviewed, and we had corrections by the street department and the police department. And we believe that we have it in a form that is best for the closure from what they originally wanted for safety and flow. They did provide their certificate of insurance. They've got their liability over $1 million. It was presented to the city named as the certificate holder. Chief, any comments on that?
Other than I personally met with him, went over the plan, and I think it's the best plan for that in particular event.
Okay. All right, so we are putting everything on the agenda now, just like this. So we did get their insurance, we did get the certificate of insurance as proof, and their verification of the insurance itself. So item C is discussion and possible approval for the street closure request by Dojo Dynamics on August 24th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the requested street closure?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Okay, Alderman Kreinbrink, is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderwoman Erickson? Any discussion on it?
I just have a question on there. Why did we tell him that he couldn't have a band out there?
It was more than bandy. We also wanted alcohol. And alcohol, I told him would have to require, well, first of all, he'd have to notify the neighbors that he's gonna have a band, but he also requested when he talked to me about alcohol. Alcohol would require him to have a plan in place. Typically, the chief would meet with him about the restrictions of where that could take place. He has to have a special permit. The problem with the special permit is our ordinance grants it to not-for-profits. He is a not-for-profit because he's a business. And then I also told him that if an outdoor venue requires special permit, it's supposed to have a state permit as well. And then he said, well, maybe it's a little too much this year. We'll just scale it back. They wanted to do something else too that just didn't kind of fit into the plan this year. So after the chief met with him, he decided he'd scale it back to what would really fit in that footprint. And they're just gonna stick with their drive-through meal and I think some bags tournaments, and that was it. And then he didn't decide that was a little too much for them, so.
I just saw it on that. It says no to a couple of those. I was just.
Yeah, just, it's probably more than one, so.
It was
Yeah, so
alcohol.
it says, he asked if there could be alcohol taken out of the bar. So that's against our ordinance, it has to be consumed on the premise, which led to the conversation that he'd have to have a special use, but he doesn't qualify for it. He also needed to have it on a property that was not his own, and it was on private property, so he would have to got permission for that. So that's, after we talked about that, he decided he would just move forward with what he traditionally does.
I was just making sure that we weren't telling somebody they couldn't have a band or something. I mean, I get the alcohol part. I just, if we want.
Yeah,
a band or
it
something,
specifically
we
says
should-
alcohol, so.
They'll
And
get a
after I
permit for a
explained the
band or
ordinance to him,
something.
then he decided he wouldn't pursue it, so. Okay, other questions? All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the street closure?
Alderman Chun,
Aye.
Alderwoman Erickson,
Aye.
Alderwoman Inman,
Aye.
Alderman Ketchum,
Aye.
Alderman Kreinbrink,
Aye.
Alderman Robinson.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. I will sign this and give it back to the chief. There you go, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, item D, this is discussion authorization to proceed with the lead service line replacement on North Main. So only North Main, that's what we're discussing, if we want to proceed with replacing that. So if someone was to make a motion, it'd either be to pay for it or not pay for it. If we don't pay for it, then we'd have to follow the notification requirement that we're required to by the EPA. And you've heard our treasurer talk about some of her concerns as well about holding the process up, so. Discussion, authorization, motion? Yes, Fred?
I have a question with that. So the original 6 to 7 residents that we had voted on paying for those services, are they part of this, or are they now getting withdrawn and put into the same category as the total 20?
I think you'd have to decide that. Originally, we budgeted for those knowing that they were identified as lead line and
I
that
just thought of that as
What
we
we were
were
going to
sitting here talking, so.
mitigate per the budget.
So once again, the precedence of the build was that we were going to take care of it because of the quantity. Now the quantity has changed. So I don't think that it's really right that you now tell these 6 people that were originally told we were gonna take care of it, that we're not gonna take care of it. And it's kind of not fair that we are saying, oh, the others, we didn't do our due diligence to the level that we should have. And by the way, you're gonna have to pay for it or sign a waiver.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Certainly.
Is that just budgeted, or was there formal action, like a formal vote? Does anyone recall off the top of their head?
My gut is saying that we did the numbers in the very beginning of what it was going to cost, and it was minimal to the overall project, and it was just wrapped up into the overall project
Okay.
with that understanding that it would be taken care of. It was minimal.
I understand, I just wanted to,
But I don't recall us saying that there was a definitive cost associated with it, just the numeric value of the ones that were known.
yeah. I mean, I guess from a legal standpoint, I don't think it's as, that it has as much bearing, but obviously there is a city and a message that you're wanting to send or not send that would be impacted.
Would it be just the 6 or would it be the 9? Because we've already got the 3 up on Arnold that truly are part of this, and
Well, I think that since this is specifically talking about the lead service line replacement on North Main Street, Arnold, is that part of, that, is it when it wraps around the corner there?
because it came from Main Street,
Okay,
so it's part of this
so I
project.
guess it would be part of that, right? If it's tied to the main on
So,
Main
so,
Street?
so if we vote no, for example, or if that's the motion,
So those have already been done.
they've already been done. So again, they didn't have a chance to be offered the waiver or anything else. And they're under the impression that we are paying for it, so why wouldn't they allow for it to be done? So now we've got the 6 that we originally budgeted for, and then I'm assuming those 3 are part of the 26 total, or whatever the number is total.
Yeah, they're part of the 20.
So,
There's 20 confirmed, there's 25 that are still unknown. And that's where it obviously gets a bit out of hand. But we have $80,000 in the budget to do lead service line replacements. You know, we had talked about it during the budget process of maybe lowering that, but we thought, let's keep it where it's at in case, Lord forbid, we have something come, you know, we have an extra one here or there, and here we go. So, there is the $80,000 in there. Rich, I can't confirm whether we did the resident side on those. I know that we did have some extra costs that are a change order to the project because we had to do the city side.
sure.
And they did hold the same unit price on the city side for the project. But I don't have anything as far as the resident side. Did you have something, Steve?
There's another part of this equation I think it's really important to understand before you make a decision, which is the general contractor doing the water main replacement and the public side replacements of the lead service lines has verbally said that they are not interested in doing the private side. So the city would be hiring a separate contractor to do those.
So it's not gonna be done at the same time anyway, is what you're saying, basically?
It will be
likely.
done within a certain period of time.
Correct.
Very soon after, but not exactly the same time.
But it could be before they seed the parkway or anything like that.
Right, it would be, correct, yeah.
Well, my motion would probably still be that it would be, we're not gonna pay, and that it would be totally on them. But I would be willing to do the 50-50 if that's what the majority of the council wanted. So again, since it's just discussion before a motion's made, I'm just throwing that out there.
When do we have to have an answer by for the,
Well, they're hoping to tear up those services next week, so I really do feel like we need to have some kind of direction today. And I hate doing this to the council, and I apologize for that, but this was not something that we could foresee and know that how this was gonna come. And I think Alderwoman Inman said it the best. This is hard. This isn't, there's no good answer here.
Well, ultimately too, there's not gonna be a holdup because we're having our contractor do all of ours anyway.
The Main Street contractor is doing the city side on all of them, yes.
Correct. So there's not gonna be any holdup there.
Nope.
And they're not going to be doing the private part of it. It's gonna be an outside contractor. So that's gonna be after, but within, what, 90 days? Whatever we're required to?
Yeah, I believe it's actually, you have to notify the residents that it's gonna be done, and there's 45 days to get it done.
Okay. So again, it shouldn't hold us up regardless.
but we still
I
need
guess-
to, we still need to decide what we gotta tell the resident though.
Right.
And I think it goes back to the original question is when the council budgeted for the $6 or the $80,000, was that intent at that budget meeting? I was not at that. Was that your intent as council to pay for those on the resident side? Because the rest of the project was paid for in the project.
I wouldn't think so.
Well, you gotta remember, the two $40,000 increments was to find the lead services.
No, I mean, in the
then-
budget, there's a specific line item for it that says $80,000 of lead service for the current fiscal year.
Yeah, and then there's also numbers within the main project itself.
Oh, right.
but
In the
my-
main project, it's covered between the
Mhm.
main and the B box.
box.
Yep.
The 80,000 that's in the budget was to cover the resident side.
Right.
Because we believe there's only
Because we
six at the
believed there
time.
was only, we believed there was only
Which that
6.
amount could probably cover the 6 plus the 3.
For
You'd have to
sure.
decide that, that would be one consideration. So it's that plus none for the rest, it's all of them, or it's some combination thereof.
Right, or you take the $80,000 divided by however many
May
there
have,
are,
and
and
that's
that's
what
what
you
we
get.
allot per home towards it.
Sounds very Solomon-like, Jeff.
Very what?
Solomon-like.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so that goes back to my original question, the 6, or now the 9, that kind of already got taken care of. Are those paid for 100% because they were involved in that? And are the remainder services that are known or are found? It's a lot of moving parts to this.
I don't ever remember us during budget time when we talked about the lead service replacement, us ever saying that we're gonna pay for the citizen portion. We always knew that, yes, we are doing the city, which we are obligated to, but
The only decision that we made in any kind of dialogue with anything was specifically for the Main Street project, and it was because the number was low. And there were still a lot of unknown variables with the state and how that was gonna work and what other municipalities were doing and that sort of thing.
So Jeff, do you know how many people the city told that we would do their lead lines?
That I don't know.
Who we spoke
Well,
to?
I know Nick has been in touch with a number of them. I know I've talked to a couple, but, do I have a definitive number? I don't. Because as we've been working through this, that's the hard part, is that, Nick is having to have a lot of discussions with residents as he's moving through. And initially, that was the thought, is that we would be covering the resident side because we disturbed the line as part of the project. And we were looking at it as part of the project, that we would do that and we would hopefully be able to absorb that. Yeah, once you start getting into more and more of these, because we're doing all of them on Main Street, that means if we run across it, it's gotta be replaced. But conveniently, the law doesn't state who pays for it. They just put the difficult decisions land on the local authorities.
Now, I guess my question is, the treasurer said something about the R3 grant. Could we try and get something like that to pay for the,
I don't know that there's money still available.
If you look at the state's website, it hasn't had activity since
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah, it closed up in '24 when I looked at it this weekend. It doesn't say there's new funding.
And they're, based on
Grants that are
census
guaranteed.
tracts, we talked a little bit that there may be an opportunity to do that, but Main Street isn't part of that census tract that would be disadvantaged, if you would.
It's on the other side
Right.
mostly.
So that doesn't help us with this. Possibly in the future, that section might qualify, but unfortunately, for Main Street, it would not.
And keep in mind too, when we had the $5.9 million project, anything that's sewer and water does not come out of any federal dollars. That is all upon the municipality. So we're paying for that anyway. That was already known when we did the project.
So where would we get it? Where's the money gonna come from if we say, sure?
Well, I know that the original bid came under our intentions, right? So as long as there's not a lot of overages, there might be some cost savings within a lower bid coming in. That might be our cushion. But we're only talking about this particular project, because this is the only project we ever discussed the lead lines with.
I mean, the only other thing, and it's something I want to discuss in the next couple of weeks, is had hoped in the budget to be able to do some engineering for the water treatment plant. There was $300,000 in the budget for that. really don't want to put that off, but if
Yeah, we have
that's
to,
what we had to do.
we have to
it
do
would
that project
offset
to
it.
be considered for the next round of funding. We have
Exactly.
to show progress and intent. Okay, so what do you want to do with the current 6 plus the 3, plus anybody else we might have told we're gonna pay for it? Because to me, that's a verbal commitment by the city, whether it was,
Well, it's unknown if the 3 were completed from the B box to the house. That still needs to be verified. I mean, I can remember when we were working on the budget, we were talking about that water interconnect between the water park and
that was
for
different money,
Plano,
though. That was
right?
200 grand or so for that.
Right, and it was, the dollar value for that was, I thought, low, at $100 a foot.
Well, first of all, if that was in your budget, I don't think Plano can do it this year. in
No,
their
but
budget.
I'm just using that as a reference point. At the $100 a foot, at a 60-foot service, that's $6,000, right? Times 20, that's $120,000. We're being asked to put $300,000 into it.
That was a high estimate, Fred.
Yeah, no,
300,000
I
was
know.
if, in a worst-case scenario, if we had those other 25 unknowns,
Yeah.
all flag as positive. So,
But even 120 times 2 is 240, so it's still
Correct.
under the 300. And a long and a short won't be impacted there because we're talking about going from the B box to the residence. Does that make sense? Because if the main's on the west side of the street,
Where's this?
and you go to the east side, then that would be a short.
right.
Both, they'd all be short because we're going from the B box.
We're
to
all
the house.
going from the B box.
B box
on
to the
all of them.
houses
So
instead
they're
of-
all pretty short. I mean,
Right.
it's,
So
what we're trying to avoid is.
I think that
having to come back and-
300,000 should cover you. And the estimate projections in the budget is that we'll have a surplus kicked over into the general fund based upon the rate increases that we imposed that was unfavorable. So the unfavorable increase is possibly gonna cover that expense at 100%. I just wish we knew exactly how many we had, because that would make it a lot easier to make a informed decision.
It would. I don't disagree with you.
Well, I think we decided that the contractor regardless is gonna go ahead and do their work. So this is basically a secondary conversation from them moving forward. However, are they gonna uncover more lines as they continue their work?
Very likely.
Very likely. Okay, so let's do this. Why don't we table this? We'll have our staff come back to identify if it was the 6 plus the 3 and whoever else we might have had this conversation with. And then you can take it back up at the next meeting and maybe put a dollar figure to that. And you can say yes to this, or yes and no, and then we can move on. And then whatever we decide, if they have blood lines, we start the process with the 45-day notification. And then we'll also have to come back swiftly with a process because some of them might want a waiver.
I know Nick is working on this, and I am, when I found this out late last week, I am as well. I was actually emailing tonight what contractor who could potentially do this. I think it's gonna be really working with contractors to figure out who can do the private side replacements, what costs they're gonna be, try to get proposals from them to be able to give you so that you have a better understanding of what this will cost. It's a challenge. Contractors are really busy right now, and they're busy doing this type of work elsewhere. So I do put that caution out there that number of contractors to pricing may not be great, but we're going to be rattling the bushes and see what we can get.
How does that work with the state's requirement as far as the 30 days or whatever? Because if you can't get a contractor to do it or whatever, I mean, I understand these unfunded mandates, but there's still got to be I don't want to say a get out, but something to prolong it.
If you can show that you have no other options, you can get an extension to 120 days. but you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get that. So they really dissuade it, but that's an option. If you're not able to get any quotes and nobody's gonna, you know, you literally cannot get anybody to do the work, then I would say that would qualify.
That's one thing we're good at, is jumping through hoops here, so.
All right, is there a motion to table 13D, discussion on our lead service line replacement for North Main Street, pending further information?
I'll make that motion.
Alderwoman Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Inman. This is just a simple vote to table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Items- One no, passes, items tabled. Okay, next item is our announcements. Next Finance Committee meeting will take place September 2nd because we're closed on Labor Day. It'll be at 6:30 PM on the 2nd, followed by the committee of the whole at 7 PM, followed by the regular meeting once the committee of the whole completes. Also note the Taste of Sandwich will be on September 24th and the craft show on the 25th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion.
Alderwoman Inman, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Ketchum, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No. All right, we're adjourned.